All right, back on Titans Talk. We go right back to the phones, and we say hello to Irvin. Irvin, thanks for waiting on. You're next up here on Titans Talk.
Yes. Well, number one, I think we have.
Irvin, do me a favor. Turn your TV down. Just talk to me on the phone.
Oh, okay. Well, number one, I think we got a hell of a defense, and what we're gonna have to do is, as far as our offense, we need to spend some money on our offense, and I think that if we do spend the money on our offense, oh yeah, we can go to the Super Bowl because really, if you think about it, our defense is what's keeping us there in the game. But we can't expect for Henry to do it all. We gotta, Tannehill, he gotta protect the ball, and he gotta learn to pass the ball downfield. We're doing a lot of running, and sometimes I think if we pass the ball downfield, that'll give a load off of Henry and everything. But mainly our offense, we gotta spend some money. It's our offense. Our offense is good, but we just need better guys out there. And if he do send the ball downfield, our wide receivers supposed to go out and get that ball when it's sitting down in front of their face. But really, we need to spend some money on our offense.
Yeah, Irvin, thanks. I appreciate your call. The problem with throwing the ball downfield is who's going to catch it right now. This is not a team littered with pass catchers. It was encouraging to see what Austin Hooper did yesterday. Robert Woods continues to get more confident on that knee, and he is looking more and more like the receiver that maybe you thought he could be coming into Nashville. But the problem is, Robert Woods is a great complement receiver. He would be a great fit if the Titans still had A.J. Brown. The problem is he sort of needs to be A.J. Brown right now, and that's not who he is. Maybe Treylon Burks can be that guy at some point. Hopefully he comes back from the injury soon and provides you some of that and maybe a little bit of a deep ball threat as well. But I think right now Ryan Tannehill's doing his best to keep the offense together. No catastrophic mistakes. Keep things going in the right direction. And the Titans are going to have to figure out ways to win games by scoring 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 points a game. They've done a great job over that over the last few weeks. And it appears they're going to have to keep it up because ultimately there's just not a lot of skill on this offense. And the offensive line isn't doing the job it's done the last few years. So off season, spend the money. Try to figure something out, or at least spend the draft capital, because they've got to upgrade the talent on that offense. But for right now, got to continue to try and do it this way. They'll run the football, build a little passing game off of that, and do not make mistakes. Let that defense do a job. Try to win the turnover battle and keep winning these games the way they've done it the last 4 weeks. Back to the phones we go. Say hello to Harry. Harry, how we doing?
All right, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call, Steve. I always listen to you because I figure you upbeat, and most of the time you point on your head on the points. But what I want to say is they do need a better offense. It seems like in the second half they think the game's in the bag and they start being too conservative. And they ain't going to get it. And yesterday, for instance, them little trick plays and stuff, you really made that new rookie quarterback look like a fool. It's almost like you had Young playing on the team again. Why would you start a gimmick player with a rookie man like that? You made him look embarrassing. You made him look silly. That wouldn't call for. This game was a bare knuckles game. You don't put a man in and make him look like that. You know them plays was conservative. You ain't gonna win like that on a team, a defensive team like that. And the second thing I want to say is, now they said they want a new stadium. Okay, the public is not getting nothing out of this. I worked for the CMA for almost 10 years. And when we first started carrying them down to the stadium, Bud Adams called down there and had us demanded we get them country music fans and people out of that stadium. So now he wanted them out of there now. They had to finally have a meet with the mayor in the middle of the night and go down there and let him know you don't own this stadium. So it was embarrassing Because all those fans from out of town and all over the world was really confused because they knew this man was really overstepping his bounds. And they really had to let him know that you don't own the stadium. So don't tell me the Titans don't flex their muscle, because they do. And the third thing I wanted to say is that stadium could have had a roof put over it like it is now. Because you see these old churches, synagogues, and everything in this city, they're older than the Titans stadium. In some of these schools, they still hanging on them. They just keep the maintenance up on them. There's no need to spend this kind of money. That stadium and some of these schools have been in floods and still operating today. This money is gone. If people are homeless, I was homeless, there's a lot of other vets and the people in this city. You need housing before you start investing in this. This is not Rome, like in Rome and back in the day. This is America. We don't do things like that. We take care of our people. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, Harry, you make good points. The one thing I will say about your last point is that's part of the discussion here. The mayor will have you or will tell you, and he laid it out with dollar figures attached last week, that if the Titans stay in Nissan Stadium, that the upkeep that is involved for that will be very hefty over the length of time that the city's on the hook for it. And that's part of the deal here and you can say it was a bad deal, but the reason the Titans are in Nashville, in the state of Tennessee, is because way back in the 90s, the state of Tennessee struck a deal to build them a stadium that was owned by the city, but Nashville was on the hook as a city to do all the upkeep to maintain it as a first-class facility. And the mayor's point last week was that they've done studies, independent studies, to find out that it would cost a lot of money to keep Nissan Stadium as a first-class facility, as they're legally obligated to in the original lease, for several more years to come. And if you don't build a new stadium, the Titans will exercise their option, which will take it out 40 years, which would be the end of the next decade. So you'd be talking about all the money that goes into that from renovations that is directly an obligation of the taxpayers of the city of Nashville. The mayor is saying by moving this up, by moving into a new stadium or building a new stadium now, yes, there will have to be some city bonds that go into it. But he believes it can all be paid back through the revenue of the stadium and the surrounding area and not necessarily have to be a taxpayer issue. But by doing that, you will relieve the burden on the city and the taxpayers for the upkeep in the future, because the Titans will be assuming all of the risk, all of the renovation, all of the upgrade construction costs that come in the future. Anything that needs to be done once the stadium is built will be an obligation of the team and no longer of the city. Now, there's some Metro Council members that don't like the math on that. They think the numbers that the mayor turned in on what the renovation numbers would cost for the stadium are too high. And that may be. I haven't seen the independent numbers of that. So there can be a healthy debate there. But that is the push, is that ultimately spending the money or using the bonds now will give you a first-class facility that ultimately will cost less for the city in the long run. One of the interesting things about the whole process for me is, if you build this stadium, how long will it last? Because we saw a lot of stadiums built in the time, Georgia Dome in Atlanta is another one, that were built in the 90s, like Nissan Stadium, that are out of date now in 2022 or rapidly approaching it. And so all of these cities want to build new stadiums, or all of these teams want to build new stadiums so they can be right there again. The question is, does AT&T Stadium that Jerry Jones built almost 12 years ago now, will those stadiums stand the test of time? Will AT&T Stadium still be a state-of-the-art building? Certainly is now. But will it be a state-of-the-art building in 20 more years or 30 more years? Or will they be looking for a new stadium again? Will this new building here stand the test of time? The quote I got from someone at the team was they believe it's a building they will be in for 50 years and beyond. That's intriguing to me. If you can build something that relieves you of the taxpayer burden of the current stadium, that can be state-of-the-art and a home for a half century, and all of the obligation during that half century, once it's built, goes on the team, that's something I'm curious about. All right, we got to take a break. We're running behind. We'll come back. More phone calls after this.